If you are new to this channel and enjoy the content that you see, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications to be alerted and notified whenever a brand new video is posted onto this channel, along with following me on these social media platforms to stay connected with me at all times. Also, feel free to check out all of your favorite videos and playlists located down in the description box below. Thank you so much for your continued support. Now let's begin. After having to follow the events of Jeepers Creepers 3, fans of the Jeepers Creepers franchise are begging the question, is the upcoming Jeepers Creepers 4 movie going to be the be-all end-all finale for the Creeper as we know it? Given the overall status and reputation of Jeepers Creepers as a film franchise, are we essentially going to witness the end of the Creeper in Jeepers Creepers 4? Now, when having to look at all three of the standalone Jeepers Creepers movies, objectively speaking, it is universal that fans within the Jeepers Creepers community agree that Jeepers Creepers 3 was the worst movie out of the three that have been released in the last 15 years. So with that being said, the only thing we've learned is that indeed the Creeper does have a weakness, but what exactly is that weakness has yet to be exploited on the big screen. The only characters that essentially know of the Creeper's weakness are characters that are essentially dead or no longer useful to be used in the upcoming film. Now with that being said, we've seen Trish Jenner basically put out a message in the fact that she wants to go on a pursuit in hunting down and killing the Creeper and finally putting him to an end, as assumingly enough 23 years have passed since that fateful incident of her having to lose her brother before her very eyes. Which also begs the question, how far are they willing to push the boundaries of using the Creeper in the future, especially since now most of the original cast has gotten much older than how we've seen in previous films, and with that said, somebody has to be written off. Whether it be the Creeper or the survivors, somebody has to go. And with that, when looking back on the first Jeepers Creepers film, what made that movie so special to the eyes of horror fans was the fact that Jeepers Creepers 1 portrayed such a dark tone in not only executing the survivors in such a proper way, but also executing the Creeper in such a manner to where he felt not only intimidating, but very violent and demonic in tone. Now of course, we don't know for a full confirmation as to who and or what the Creeper truly is in nature until of course it's established in Jeepers Creepers 4. One can only make the assumption that he's either a demon, some sort of an alien. Speculations and theories have been conjured up ever since the beginning of the first film, and we'll never truly know as to what the Creeper is or where he comes from until they give us that confirmation in possibly Jeepers Creepers 4, which goes into the discussion for this video, as I do believe that the full origin of the Creeper ought to be revealed in Jeepers Creepers 4. Who is he? What is he? Where did he come from? And why is he currently here? I do feel like Jeepers Creepers 3 had lots of potential in diving deeper into the Creeper's lore, in allowing the audience to gain a basic understanding and a better understanding as to what this creature is and why he needs to feed on the people that he feeds on in order to replace old and or dying body parts. And with that being said, going back to my first point, I do believe that somebody has to go. If they don't intend on fully killing off the Creeper, then killing off the survivors would be the best way to close off the entire story that is of Jeepers Creepers, wrapping up all three movies and having everything culminate in the fourth. And that's only if they decide to kill off the survivors and allowing the Creeper to live. If by some chance the Creeper ends up dying by the hands of Trish Jenner or somebody else, then having that concept wrap itself up and having Trish Jenner have her revenge on the very being that took her brother away 23 years ago would also fit the narrative very well, having to relate back all the way to the first movie. But also, let's not forget about Jack Tagarat, who's also alive with his son after having to witness the Creeper basically take his younger son away in Jeepers Creepers 2, which if you stop and think about the concept of what the survivors are after, their basic concept in having to stop the Creeper is ultimately fueled by revenge. A lot of people that have suffered by the hands of the Creeper have lost someone they truly cared about, a son, a brother, a sister, a mother, a father, a cousin, a friend. A lot of people that have suffered by the hands of the Creeper, directly or indirectly, have ultimately paid that price. So Jeepers Creepers 4, what it needs to be is a culmination of the survivors coming together to finally put their foot down and saying no more. We will not stand around for other people to suffer the same fates we did to our loved ones by the hand of this creature. Now with that being said, since we've already inevitably found out a little bit of information on the Creeper in Jeepers Creepers 2 and of course Jeepers Creepers 1 and 3, the question lingers, what about the Creeper now? I do believe that going forward in this movie, whenever Jeepers Creepers 4 decides to be released, I do think that this needs to tell the overall be-all end end-all story of all parties involved. As an example, having someone like Jack Tagarat be killed off while someone like Trish Jenner ends up living, which realistically speaking, you can't have the Creeper be overtaken by all of the survivors, because in the end, that just wouldn't make any sense. You're going to have a more aggressive and more violent Creeper than how we've seen previously, especially in Jeepers Creepers 3, if you're looking to wrap the entire story up as a whole. Now again, we don't know if they're going to inevitably reboot the film, remake the film, if Victor Salva is ever going to sell the rights of the franchise to a different company. That remains to be seen, and if that ends up being the case, sure, one day in the far future we could see more Jeepers Creepers movies, but right now for Victor Salva's concept, Jeepers Creepers 4 needs to be the final movie in the installment to close off the original story that started all the way in Jeepers Creepers 1. Now with that said, let's also talk about the Creeper's truck. Now fans within the Jeepers Creepers community are essentially divided on whether or not they want to accept the concept of the truck having a mind of its own. Now that idea was never presented in Jeepers Creepers 1 or 2 before, which is why the original fans feel indifferent with the truck having to be around in Jeepers Creepers 3 and playing a very key role in the Creeper having to basically capture his victims in evading police and taking them down. So I do feel like if Jeepers Creepers 4 were to actually be a thing, the first thing they need to do is further explain why the truck is the way it is. Now in the first Jeepers Creepers film, what made the Creeper so ominous as a figure was the fact that this creature was traveling, knowing the fact that it had wings to fly, in this very creepy truck, using that truck as a tool to collect bodies and stacking up his victims, dead or alive, and throwing them in the basement of his cathedral, where he would ultimately conduct experiments and feasting on the ones that were still alive. So with that being said, the truck was an essential tool in allowing the Creeper to get around without essentially being spotted by police or anyone out there that can pose an imminent threat towards him. He used the truck as a ploy to get what he wanted out of the victims that he was pursuing. So I do think that in Jeepers Creepers 4, in my opinion, the truck has to go. If anything, if you do want to keep the Creeper around, the survivors and people that discovered his original cathedral in Jeepers Creepers 2 basically burned the entire thing down to the ground. So the only thing the Creeper really has is the truck. So imagine now if the Creeper did not have his truck to his disposal. It's just him now. There is no cathedral, there is no truck, it's just him. And now he's going to be forced in not only having to find another vehicle and modifying that, but also having to move on foot, which could ultimately give the survivors the advantage, especially now knowing the fact that he's on foot. They don't have to worry about some impenetrable truck that he's driving around with. Now looking at the idea of the Creeper having to be alone, this would force the Creeper in being a bit more aggressive in his tone, in not only fighting back against the survivors, but picking them apart one by one. And imagine the first glance the Creeper would have the very second he lays eyes on Trish Jenner again, give or take if he remembers. If he does, imagine the amount of tension that would be created if Trish Jenner were to remind the Creeper that he was the one that took her brother, which could even lead the Creeper in mocking Trish, in playing psychological games with her, in reminding her how tasteful her brother was, or somewhere along the lines to where something is shown that reminds her of her brother Derry 23 years ago before he was taken. The psychological games that could be implemented in this movie would be off the charts if written correctly, and the one thing we as a community really hope to see in Jeepers Creepers 4 is a good story, good writing, good effects, and a good narrative. You want to have a good direction in allowing this monster, who has become a pop culture icon within the horror community, to not only establish itself as a fundamental key in this series, but also playing a key part in allowing the audience to resonate with remembering how dangerous this being is and what its capabilities are after learning more about its origins. Now again, this varies on whether or not the Creeper is in fact immortal, if in fact it's killable, and whether or not we learn more about what it is up in the air right now. But the one thing that people really want to know is what this creature is and can it be stopped. Now of course, given its direction, given its narrative, given its writing aspect, if this movie, if Jeepers Creepers 4 ends up being a blockbuster hit within the horror franchise, then of course they can always continue in creating a Jeepers Creepers 5 and potentially even going as far as making a Jeepers Creepers 6 or whatever it is that they want to do. All varies on what's going to happen in Jeepers Creepers 4. Now again, the idea was presented at the end of Jeepers Creepers 3 that Trish Jenner has now alerted everyone that she needed to alert to round everybody up together in stopping this thing. Whether or not this thing comes out in 2020, 2022, 2024 is unknown, because currently there is no information information on a script, production, none of that. However, if your IQ is higher than a tomato can, then you would already know that Jeepers Creepers 3 basically left the doors open for a 4th movie. So in the end, let me know in the comment section below, what do you guys want to see in Jeepers Creepers 4? What is the overall direction you wish Victor Salva would take the Creeper in, the survivors? What kind of narrative do you think needs to be introduced to make this movie a legitimately good film? What are your thoughts on the potential of this movie having to be delayed, given its director's history, given the overall reputation of Jeepers Creepers? What are your overall thoughts as to what's to be expected in Jeepers Creepers 4? I would like to know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Thank you all so very much for watching, guys. Once again, if you guys love Jeepers Creepers and are new to this channel, hit that subscribe button, guys. Turn on all notifications. That way you guys can be notified whenever a brand new video is posted onto this channel. Tune back in for more. Again, Jeepers Creepers, the franchise, especially having to date back all the way to the first movie, has always been something that resonated with me as a horror fan, because the first movie was so good and it was so dark in nature that it allowed me as a fan to gravitate towards the Creeper as an iconic figure, even going as far as seeing what he did in Jeepers Creepers 2. However, Jeepers Creepers 3 universally was such a letdown that I'm really hoping that they correct the mistakes of Jeepers Creepers 3 in Jeepers Creepers 4 by legitimizing the Creeper and allowing him to feel more like a creature of the night, more like a actual villain than some sort of a tacky, hokey character that nobody has any interest in. So by the end, guys, let me know your thoughts down below. Tune back in for more, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you guys down in the comment section below. Have a great day, everybody. Peace.